Hi guys, this is Korak from Edureka. Welcome to today's session on Google Cloud Functions. Now, before we start the topic at hand, let's just discuss today's agenda first. The first thing we talk about is what is Google Cloud Functions, followed by why do we need to use Google Cloud Functions, why use Google Cloud Functions at all. Then we talk about the integration of Google Cloud Functions with other APIs present in Google Cloud Platform, the pricing of Google Cloud Functions that it provides, and finally, we look at a demo and we look at some use cases for Google Cloud Functions, right? So let's get started. And also, if you do like our videos, please do subscribe to the Edureka channel. And if you're looking for a GCP certification, please do check the link in the comments below. So the first thing we talk about is what is Google Cloud Functions. Now, when we talk about Google Cloud Functions, we need to know that Cloud Functions is an API which is provided by Google Cloud Platform. So this is basically a serverless execution environment for building and connecting cloud services, right? So it's scalable and pay as you go. So you need to only pay for the amount of time that you use the function for. So it is basically a function as a service that is provided by Google Cloud Platform, which allows you to pay as you go, which basically means that you only have to pay for the amount of time and the amount of data and resources that you use for your cloud functions and nothing extra. Next, we talk about the fact that you do not need to configure the software and manage the servers as well. It is basically allowing you serverless management, and you can basically integrate single purpose functions with other events and APIs as well. So this is basically a brief overview of what Google Cloud Functions is. Next, we talk about the different kinds of cloud functions that are present. So there are basic two different kinds of cloud functions present, namely API cloud functions and event-driven cloud functions. So basically, API cloud functions are invoked from standard HTTP requests. Event-driven cloud functions handles events from the cloud infrastructure and basically can be invoked apart from HTTP requests as well. Then we see that the TLS certificate is automatically provisioned to invoke securely, which is basically for API cloud functions. Now, when it comes to event-driven cloud functions, it is divided into background functions and cloud event functions. Now, these are the two basic types of cloud functions. Next, we see the basic infrastructure of cloud functions. We see that the event providers provide you with a trigger, which then goes and gets stored in the data, and this trigger will then send you a response according to your function that you have, and that is basically how cloud functions work. Okay. Next up, we see why use cloud functions at all. Now, here we talk about most of the things that are the features of cloud functions, or why do we need them at all? What does cloud function have to provide us with, right? So the first and the most important thing we see is that you do not need server management. No server management is necessary, or containers as well, to run or deploy your code. Next, we see that configuring software is extremely important. So you can configure cloud functions, built-in configuration options to control the behavior of your functions. So you can basically configure it based on whatever you feel like is the best for your function. Next up, we see the automatic provisioning of resources. Now, the user does not have to provision resources manually. Cloud functions automatically provisions resources for your cloud function, right? So next up, we talk about the simplified developer experience that Google Cloud Functions provides us with. Now, Cloud Function has a simple and intuitive developer experience. Just write your code and let Google Cloud handle the operational infrastructure. So you do not need to think about all the operational infrastructure that is there. You just have to write your code and basically develop faster by running small code snippets that respond to various events that Google Cloud Functions provides, right? Next up, we see that it is a pay-as-you-go model. So you are only built for the function's executing time metered to the nearest 100 milliseconds. So basically, you pay nothing when your function is idle, right? So Cloud Functions automatically spins up and back and down with the response to events. So basically, whenever you use your function, that is the only time where you are charged, and you are not charged if your Cloud Function is inactive. And finally, we see that you can avoid lock-ins. So basically use open source FAs, which is basically function as a service framework, to run functions across multiple environments and prevent lock-ins. Supported environments include cloud functions, local development environment, on-premises, etc. Right? So you can avoid lock-ins using cloud functions with open technology. So this is why you should use cloud functions and the various features it's providing. Next up, we talk about the integration with other APIs that Cloud Functions has. So the first integration we talk about is the BigQuery integration with Cloud Functions. So BigQuery remote function will let you create a BigQuery SQL functionality and software outside BigQuery with the help of Cloud Functions, right? So the serverless execution environment basically allows BigQuery to do this and make remote functions as well. So this is one of the integrations that Google Cloud Functions has. So next up, we talk about the integration with Firebase. Now, Google Cloud can be integrated with Firebase, provided that basically you use it for the serverless framework and it lets you automatically run backend code in response to events and triggers. So these triggers are provided in the format of HTTP requests or API requests or something like that. So basically what Firebase does with Google Cloud Functions is that you can interact with Firebase using HTTP triggered cloud functions, right? So this basically requires the first kind of cloud functions, that is the API kind of cloud functions, not the event-driven ones when it comes to interacting with Firebase. So next up, we talk about Vision API integration with cloud functions. Cloud Vision API is another API that provides us with facial recognition and photographic recognition, optical character recognition, and all of that. And if you want to check out more on Cloud Vision API, you can check out Edureka's video on Vision API as well. Now, when it comes to cloud functions with Vision API, we can see that when it comes to optical recognition of characters, which is basically something that in layman terms can be explained as reading the text that is present in images and then printing that out, right? So you can basically read whatever image that you have, and if it has some sort of text, optical character recognition will basically print that text out to you, right? So this is what Vision API integration with cloud functions is used for. Next up, we come to the pricing of Google Cloud Functions. So when it comes to pricing, we can see that pricing is based on various things such as invocations per month and the price per month. So for the first 2 million invocations, the price is free. And if you go beyond 2 million invocations, the price is $0.40 per month. So apart from all of this, we can see that pricing is also based on the compute time provision, the price per 100 millisecond, and the virtual CPUs present. So 128 MB compute time will be priced at around $0.0000231, whereas virtual CPUs required will be 0.0833, right? So similarly, it is exactly the double of what 128 MB needs for 256, right? So the virtual CPUs required in the 256 MB compute time provision will be 0.1666 virtual CPUs required. So next up, we see a demo on Google Cloud Functions. So I have a GitHub repository with Python code which will go for Google Cloud Platform, and let's just copy this repository and try and include it on our system, on our local system. So to do that, what you need to do is git clone and copy that here. So you can see that this repository is already cloned in my system, and all I need to do is find the path for it. So let's go search for the path for it. And this is basically my path for my repository. Just copy this path. So once you copy that path, basically all you have to do is cd and paste that path here, and you will basically go into your directory, right? So this is how you change the directory. Now, once you've changed the directory, you can see that your file that you've downloaded, the GitHub repository that you've downloaded, has various files in it. So what you need to do is open up the Python file into your VS Code, right? So open up the Python file in your VS Code, and as you can see, this is the Python file, which is the app.py, and this is the main function, which is the main.py, right? So what you need to do now is test it on your local system, right? So you have the Python file, you have the repository, all you need to do is run Flask, right? So this is basically running. Let's try it out again, just one last time. Right, it is running on this local machine, local host, right? So what we need to do is let's check it out. So go to Postman, and Postman basically allows you to see that if your HTTP triggered functions is working. Right. So when you go to Postman, you basically type in this trigger that you have, the URL, which is basically this. It's running on this local host. you can just go back to Postman, copy paste this to this, and you can see hello world out here. So this is running on my local host. Now let's try doing this on Google Cloud Functions, right? So once you go to Google Cloud Functions, you can basically just open up Cloud Shell, and since you now have the GitHub repository in your system, you can just check the directory. So this is the directory that we have, and our repository is called Python doc samples, right? So Python doc samples. So we can just move into the Python doc samples part, and now we're in. We'll check out the files in here, and now what we need to do is go into the repository with the code, right? Now, once you've moved into the repository with the code, check out the files in it and move into the folder with the function in it, and check out the repository again. Move into Python part. Now you move into Python part, check out the repository, and you have main.py here, right? So once you've found your main.py file, what you need to do is basically create a function with a trigger, an endpoint, and all of that. So just this is basically the code for creating a cloud function with the runtime, the trigger, and the unauthentication specified. So what happens if you basically do not specify that unauthenticated functions will be available is that every cloud functions that you create will be authenticated if you don't disallow authentication in general. So let's just try deploying this, and it will basically ask you for authorization, right? So it is deploying. Now this basically takes a bit of time for you to deploy a cloud functions, maybe around 2 to 3 minutes. Right, so once you've deployed your cloud function, you can go check it out on this URL, right? So this is basically showing me hello world right now. This is an HTTP triggered cloud function that allows you to take arguments in. So what we can do is we have our code here, and if you go into the app.py thing, we can see it is hello name, right? So let's just go back to Postman here and try something out. So what we will be aiming to do here is that we'll be aiming to change the arguments that we give in and see if our HTTP triggered backend is still working. So these are not, let's say, if you go back to this, so this is not really a web page. This is basically a serverless backend, right? So this is the basic difference, and let's check it out on Postman now. Right. So Postman is up, and all we need to do is take in this, put it in here, and check if it's working. Right. So right now it shows me hello name, but this is a function which allows you to take in arguments. So let's just give it an argument like name, and this can be Edureka, right? So let's just check it out now. So basically what happens is, if we can see, this is the argument that we gave in, and go back to Postman, change this and paste this, change it. It says hello Korak because I've put in arguments here which has name and value of Korak. Now let's change this to, let's say, Edureka, and check if it's still working. Right. So it is working, and this is basically how you create an HTTP triggered cloud function. Now, with that, we come to the end of the demo. So the last thing we talk about is the different use cases that Cloud Functions has with different integrated APIs. So we'll be talking about two use cases here. So the first use case we talk about is the real-time stream processing. Now real-time stream processing is PubSub will basically trigger a function. Now this function will basically process the uploaded image and detects the offensive images if they are there. Now, this offensive image detection is done using Google Cloud Vision API, and if there is some offensive content, Google Cloud Vision API sends a Cloud Function a request to blur the image out, and this is then stored as a blurred image in storage. And finally, we talk about sentiment analysis. Now sentiment analysis is basically understanding the requirements or the behavior of the user in general. So basically what we do here is we see a text message, and with that text message we use Twilio, which is basically a chat SDK. And with Cloud Functions, BigQuery and MLP, what it basically does is that it adds sentiment analysis and intent extraction capabilities to your application, right? So there is a lot of natural language processing involved here. So there is an integration with BigQuery and NLP API as well. So with that, guys, I come to the end of the session. Thank you and have a nice day.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!